Hello, my name is Odessa Esco, and this is Commonly Confused English. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and of course, click the link in my banner so you can have the written version of all the commonly confused English words. Today's two words are kind of two phrases. The first one is to me, and the second one is for me. These two words or two phrases are used in similar fashions or the exact same way sometimes. First, let's define each on its own. Starting with to me. Strictly speaking, to me means somebody is doing something that affects you physically or mentally. An example of something affecting you physically, where you might want to say to me, is if somebody is, let's say somebody's spraying people with water in the face. It's really hot. You want to spritz the water. If you don't want to spritz the water, you might say something like, don't do that to me. No, thank you. Don't do it to me. No, try that girl over there. Not to me. So that means whatever you're doing that is going to affect my person, do not do it to me. Your me is you, like an object and kind of in this sentence. Like, don't do it to my lip gloss, my lipstick. Don't do it to me. We also use to me to talk about being affected mentally. So if somebody is being, manipulative, or perhaps you might hear this in relationships a lot, like somebody's behavior is hurting someone's feelings. They might say something like, how could you do this to me after 2 children, 4 dogs, and a goldfish? How could you do this to me? Right, so that's an example of somebody being affected emotionally by someone, and obviously they can't believe it's happened. And those actions, though they were physical perhaps, or not physical, they are affecting their mental state, and that's okay to use to me as well. So physically and mentally, things that are affecting you, that are being done by another person that's not you, would say to me. For me is kind of like the opposite a little bit. It's gonna affect you physically and mentally, but usually it's on behalf of you. So if you say something like, can you pour this glass of water for me? You're asking someone to do something that either you're going to do anyways, that you have to do, or that you think should be done. And instead of you doing it yourself, you're asking someone to do you a favor and do what you want to be done on behalf of you, for you. Can you take the kids to the doctors for me? Oh, can you pick that up for me? So now, because we're saying for me, it usually is for your benefit, but there can be negative things, that you want someone to do for you as well. Like, hey, can you cheat on this test for me? So it's not just things that are positive. They usually affect you positively, but using the words for me isn't only about positive activities. You can ask people to do negative and bad things, of course. So to me is people doing things that affect you physically and mentally. For me is you asking others to do things that will affect you physically and mentally, but it's on your behalf. It's something you want them to do usually, or that has to be done by you, that they can help you with. We also use to me and for me as a way to express our opinions in English. You would say something like, ooh, to me, I think this is the best one. Or, I don't know, y'all, for me, I think he got it. Whatever it is you're talking about, you can use the words to me or for me to let people know it's a personal opinion. We also use these two phrases similarly when we're talking about gifts and ownership and possession. I left this to you. I left this for you. So in this case, you can use to me, for you, to you, interchangeably to represent you giving somebody ownership or possession, whether as a gift or as their rights. Unfortunately, when people pass away, they'll have a will, and usually in the will, they'll say things like, I leave my house to blah, 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 and my most precious ring I will leave to blah, blah, blah. So usually in more formal areas and more like when things are based on legality, people will use to you to represent the possession changing ownership. Like, I leave this to you. It's no longer mine, it's yours, like officially. If somebody uses for you, it's the same thing, but it's kind of more of like a gift sense not so like bound in legal courts, like, oh, I made some chicken and I left some on the counter for you. You know, it's something more casual like that. You wouldn't be like, I made some chicken and there's some chicken on the counter that I've left to you. That's very formal. So in this context of using these phrases, to me or to you is a little more formal than for you and for me when we're talking about gifts and possessions. That's all for today's video. I hope we all know how to use to me and for me. Remember, to me is when someone else is doing something you didn't ask them to do. It could be good or bad, but it's affecting you physically or mentally. For me is similar in the sense that it can affect you mentally or physically, but in this instance, you're asking someone a favor. You're asking them to do whatever it is that affects you physically or mentally, good or bad. You're asking them to do it. And in both of these cases, we can use these words to describe gifts and possession and also our personal opinions. Although the personal opinion one kind of isn't grammatically correct often, it's just, the functional reality of how we use English. I be saying a lot of things that are not grammatically correct. So to me, that's all right. If you have any more questions, make sure you leave a comment down below. And of course, some recommendations or suggestions for the next video topic is always welcomed. Whether it's a commonly confused English video or any other type of video you'd like to see on my platform, please let me know. I'll see you in my next video. Stay cute. Bye.